A man was murdered in broad daylight, right in the middle of town, surrounded by 45 eyewitnesses. But when the FBI arrives, not a single person saw a thing. This is not a movie plot. It happened in Skidmore, Missouri. An entire town made a silent pact to eliminate one man, and they all got away with it. Who was this man who drove a peaceful community to commit the ultimate crime? And how did a whole town successfully defy the federal government? The answer lies in a dark corner of American history, where justice failed, and a community took the law into their own hands. To understand what happened on that warm July morning in 1981, we have to look at Skidmore itself. Was the definition of small-town America, a quiet, picturesque farming community of just a few hundred people, a place where doors were left unlocked. Neighbors helped neighbors harvest crops, and everyone knew everyone else's name. It was a town built on hard work, faith, and trust. But beneath that peaceful surface, a dark shadow had been growing for over 2 decades. A shadow that wore a signature cowboy hat and carried a loaded shotgun. His name was Ken McElroy. Was not your ordinary local criminal. He was a giant, terrifying force of nature, standing over 6 feet tall and weighing well over 200 pounds. He ruled the area through pure, unadulterated fear. For more than 20 years, McElroy subjected the people of Skidmore and the surrounding counties to a relentless campaign of terror. If a neighbor's dog barked too loudly, that dog would disappear, or the neighbor's barn would mysteriously burn to the ground. If someone crossed him in conversation, they would find McElroy sitting in his truck outside their home at midnight, headlights glaring through their living room window. He was accused of livestock theft, arson, assault, and worse. Yet year after year, crime after crime, he walked away completely free. How does one man terrorize an entire region without ever spending a significant night in jail? The answer lies in how McElroy manipulated the American legal system. He understood the law better than many lawyers. Whenever he was arrested, he would hire high-priced attorneys from the big cities. He would immediately post bail and return straight to the streets of Skidmore. Then, the psychological warfare would truly begin. Before a court date, McElroy would follow the witnesses. He would park outside their homes. He would trail their children on the way to school. He would sit in his truck, silently cleaning a shotgun, while staring at the people scheduled to testify against him. By the time the trial date arrived, the witnesses were too terrified to speak. Cases were dismissed. Charges were dropped. The legal system completely failed the town. By 1980, the tension in Skidmore had reached a dangerous boiling point. The townspeople felt completely abandoned by the authorities. The police claimed their hands were tied by due process, while McElroy grew more arrogant by the day. Then came the event that changed everything. An argument broke out over an item worth less than $1. At the local grocery store, the store was owned by a beloved, defenseless 70-year-old local grocer who had served the community for decades. McElroy did not take kindly to being challenged. A short time later, he confronted the elderly grocer. Without hesitation, McElroy shot the elderly man in the neck. The town was shocked, but they believed this would finally be the end. Surely, shooting a senior citizen in broad daylight would put Ken McElroy behind bars for good. He was arrested. He was actually tried. And for the first time, he was convicted of assault. But the victory was short-lived. McElroy's attorneys immediately filed an appeal. Once again, he was released on bail pending that appeal. The very next day, McElroy walked right back into Skidmore. He didn't hide. Instead, he went directly to the center of town. He fitted his truck with a gun rack, loaded his shotgun, and sat outside Bow Bowl's grocery store. He sat there for hours, laughing, smoking, and letting everyone know that no one could touch him. The psychological impact on the community was profound. Fear turned into raw, desperate anger. The townspeople realized a terrifying truth. The law was not going to protect them. It was not going to protect their wives, and it was not going to protect their children. if McElroy could shoot a beloved old man and walk the streets the next day, no one was safe. They had reached their psychological limit. On the morning of July 10, 1981, a public meeting was called. The townspeople gathered at the local Legion Hall. The official purpose was to discuss how to form a neighborhood watch or find a legal loophole to protect themselves. But as the meeting was underway, the door opened. A resident rushed in with a message. Ken McElroy had just arrived in town. He was sitting down the street at the DVG Tavern, armed and completely unbothered. The room fell dead silent. The discussion about neighborhood watches and legal petitions instantly evaporated. The men in the Legion Hall looked at one another. No words needed to be spoken. A silent consensus was reached in that room. Nearly 60 men stood up. They walked out of the Legion Hall in a solid, quiet group and moved down the dusty street toward the DVEG Tavern. Inside the tavern, McElroy was ordering a drink. When he looked out the window, he saw the crowd assembling. For the first time in his life, he was vastly outnumbered, yet his arrogance remained. He calmly finished his drink, paid the bartender, and walked out the door alongside his wife. McElroy walked through the silent crowd. No one yelled. No one swung a fist. The atmosphere was heavy, tense, and completely still. He climbed into the driver's seat of his silver Silverado truck. His wife sat next to him in the passenger seat. McElroy put the key in the ignition, put a cigarette in his mouth, and began to roll down his window. He still believed they were too afraid to act. He believed his reputation would protect him. He was wrong. Suddenly, the silence of the morning was shattered. Shots rang out from the back of the crowd. The gunfire did not come from just one weapon. Forensic investigators would later determine that at least 2 different firearms were used, a rifle and a shotgun. McElroy was struck multiple times. He died instantly behind the wheel of his truck. His wife, Trenna, screamed for help, looking at the crowd of nearly 50 people standing just feet away. But as soon as the final echo of the gunshots faded, something extraordinary happened. The crowd didn't panic. They didn't run. They simply turned around, walked away, and dispersed into the surrounding streets. Within minutes, the center of Skidmore was completely empty. Only the silver truck remained. When the local sheriff arrived, he found a horrific scene, but no witnesses. Soon, the state police and the FBI descended upon Skidmore. They knew exactly who had a motive to kill McElroy, the entire town. They began conducting intense, aggressive interviews. They questioned every single person who was present at the scene. They called residents into grand jury hearings. They threatened people with obstruction of justice. But the investigators ran directly into an unbreakable wall of silence. The responses were identical across the board. I heard a noise, but I was tying my shoe. I was looking at the ground. I thought it was a backfire, so I walked away. I didn't see a thing. Explicitly named one man she claimed to have seen holding a rifle, but without a single other corroborating witness. Prosecutors knew a trial would be impossible. No jury in the county would convict anyone. The grand jury met, listened to days of absolute silence, and adjourned without issuing a single indictment. The federal government threw its full weight at the small town, but they could not break the pact. The community had decided that their collective survival was worth more than the legal definition of justice. Ken Rex McElroy was buried, and the case was officially left unsolved. The town of Skidmore had successfully done what no one thought possible. They had gotten away with murder. Skidmore got exactly what it wanted on that July morning. The monster was gone, and the daily fear vanished. But the peace they fought for came at a devastating price. The town became cursed by its own secret. For decades, it was plagued by intense media scrutiny, uninvited tourists, and an underlying cloud of paranoia. Over the years, Skidmore suffered an unusual string of strange disappearances and subsequent violent tragedies, causing many to whisper that the town was haunted. by the vigilante justice of 1981. Ken McElroy pushed a peaceful town until they became the very thing they feared. Was it a necessary act of self-defense? Or was it cold-blooded murder? In Skidmore, that line disappeared forever, because sometimes the only thing more terrifying than a monster is what a town will do to kill one. If a community is pushed to its absolute limit, where does justice end and crime begin? If you were standing in that crowd on that July morning, would you have broken the silence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into America's dark history gripping, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. By turning on notifications, you ensure you will never miss our next investigation into the mysteries the world tried to forget. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.